Hello and welcome to another episode of the Business Spotlight. I am Scott McMeans with Action Coach, and I am honored today to have Erin Longmoon from Zephyr Connects with us. We're going to get a little information about what Zephyr Connects is all about, how Erin has built this business to be the success that it is, and hopefully learn a little bit about what it's like to be a professional in the industry of Erin.
Recruiting.
Recruiting. So let's do this. I'm going to turn the microphone and the camera over to you. And Erin, you're going to tell us a little story.
Right.
Tell us about yourself and tell us a little bit about how Zephyr Connects has come to be.
All right. Thank you very much for having me on the show, by the way, Scott. I appreciate it. Let's see a little bit about me. I've been an entrepreneur multiple times. It's sort of how I'm wired. I've tried being an employee and it's rarely ever worked out well. So I just happen to do things to the beat of my own drum. And part of that led me to being a business coach, actually, at one point in time, back in the sort of mid 2013 through 2016, and worked with small businesses, small employers, and helped them primarily with creating systems and processes and helping with their people was my primary focus. And it became evident during those few years that recruiting in small businesses is an enormous challenge. And not only finding people, but also not having the time to do it, sometimes not really having an aptitude, knowing how to find the right people, making poor hiring decisions. I just saw this up and down most of my clients, if not all of them. So I started adding that service on to support them just because, I'm their coach and I want to help them create a great business.
Yeah.
So I found myself recruiting and doing, a really good job at it, of course. And the next thing I know, I'm starting to get more and more clients who are coming to me just asking for the recruiting. They're like, I have a business coach. I need recruiting. I need great people. So in 2017, the writing was on the wall that it was time to pivot my focus and just help small businesses with their recruiting and hiring needs. So that's how Zephyr was born.
I love it. The idea that you're in a situation where you have an option or an opportunity to pivot and you took it because there was a market need that you've identified. It's the brilliant way that a multiple entrepreneur finds themselves going from one option to another, to an opportunity to another. And
Right.
that's exactly what entrepreneurship is all about, is finding your own niche in the world that needs you. What I want to talk about, what is it about Zephyr that when I need this work, why would I come work with you? Talk to me about Zephyr. What makes it so special?
So many reasons. So many
Good.
reasons. So one, like I said, I alluded already, we were designed from the ground up to serve small employers only. So if you are a smaller business, our main niche, our main target, you could say, is people with between 10 and 50 employees. Although, of course, we work with slightly bigger, we work with slightly smaller. It just depends on the circumstance. But that's really our core focus. And one is because, like I said, we're built from the ground up to serve their needs. And the needs of small businesses is unique and different than corporations. And the recruiting industry was built from the start to work with bigger corporations, much larger businesses with 5,000 employees and above. So their model doesn't really work well for small businesses. And honestly, Scott, we could do an entire show on why that is. So I can't dive too deep, but let's just say that one of the main reasons and one of the other reasons why we're so special is that we can focus on culture fit and core values alignment and leadership style alignment. We find employees who are going to fit the unique, business culture and environment that our clients have created. And that is very special and very different than traditional recruiting models. And the traditional recruiter just is the whole model that they're built on isn't set up to be able to accomplish that. So we set that, we are able to do that. So it's that we focus on small businesses, we focus on culture fit, and we make it far more affordable than traditional recruiting model. We do not do the 30%. We are a flat fee service. It is significantly lower than that traditional model. And there's a whole reason for that too, that, again, we probably don't have a lot of time to get into, but we have figured out a way to do high quality work at an affordable price, which is really hard to find in
I would
almost
agree with
everything,
that. The high
right?
quality, what's the old argument? You can have it fast, you can have it cheap, you can have it good, but you can't have all three,
Exactly.
right?
Guess what?
So finding somebody that's of high quality and an
Mhm.
affordable price, that's a rarity. So what is it about Zephyr, Erin, that allows you to have the ability to be high quality and affordable?
Part of it is because we kind of see, let me back up. We see recruiting as a few things. One of them is it's a service that we're providing to you, and we do want to be paid for our service. The traditional model is a contingent model. You're only going to pay if the recruiter finds you someone, right? And at the surface, that looks really low risk for people. However, if you think about the back end, you're a business owner. If you really think about how the contingent model gets set up on the back side of things, it really leads to needing to fill roles as quickly as possible, for one thing, so you can't focus on quality. And the other thing is that it is focused more on it's like sales job, right? If one recruiter has to work for maybe 25 different clients at a time, they're going to be lucky to close maybe 10 to 15% of those, where their clients actually pick the person that they choose. So as a business person who's utilizing their services, you have to pay that hefty fee to cover the cost of them working for the other 20 people that they don't close, right? Because they're pouring over all this, and they're grinding to fill these roles, but they're only going to fill 2 or 3 of them. So you have to pay for that. So because we're going to get paid for our service, kind of like a recruiting as a service model, we're getting paid for everything we're doing. So I can significantly lower that price and just distribute it among every one of our clients. And yet, some people might be going, oh, but what if you don't find me a hire? We have almost a 99% placement rate. So our placement rate is significantly higher than those other recruiting models, because we're focusing on, like, Scott, if you hired us, we're going to work tirelessly to find you your person, right? And we're focused on finding you your person.
If 99% is your placement rate, what is the industry average?
I don't even know, because no one will publish that number.
Okay.
I have looked.
Which makes me believe it is drastically lower than 99%, since nobody wants to make that.
Or so you could say it's 100%, but only it's 100% of those that close, right? Like, do you know what I mean? Right. There's probably an easier way to say that, but they could say it's 100% because of everyone that actually picks someone, they're not including all the times that people didn't pick their person, like their hire.
Yeah.
That makes
interesting
sense.
how that plays out, right?
Yeah.
Nobody wants to give you the gory details, but they want to sell you an idea. And what I like about what you made comment to so far is you're not working on contingency, which means you're not just funneling the wrong candidates again and again just to meet a quota, meaning, all right, if I send you 10 people, your odds are you're going to hire one of them. What you're looking at from a service model is we're going to send you 1 or 2 qualified candidates that make the most sense, that align to you culturally, they have an environmental fit, and they really like that leadership style. Here's 2 people, I'm assuming 2 people or more, that you can pick from, and then they have the chance to pick the right person.
Exactly.
Okay. It's a much different approach.
Yeah, much different. And, we're spending on average about an hour and a half up to 2 hours per candidate vetting them. And a traditional recruiter model is about 20 minutes. Like they're doing a quick phone call, making sure that they have the experience and the skills and the education that they're looking for. Whereas, of course, we're trying to vet them deeper about core values and all the other components. So by the time we're presenting a candidate to our clients, they're checking 90% of the boxes.
Right.
Yeah.
It's interesting. You kind of gleamed over the idea of you being a business coach at the beginning of the session, but I have to assume that a lot of this comes from your background as a business coach, because the vision, mission, and culture of any organization are the 3 most important things that a business needs to understand, communicate, and follow every day. And the fact that you can dive deep into a candidate's possibilities for vision, mission, culture, it makes it a lot easier to find somebody that aligns versus somebody that can do the job. It's a huge difference, right?
Huge difference.
A lot of people can do the job, but they're not necessarily built for that organization.
Correct. And in a small business, that makes an enormous difference, right? Like the impact of having a wrong hire in a small business of 30 people is significant compared to an impact of a wrong hire in a 3,000 person organization, right? And so that was one of the things that I kept seeing when I was a coach with my clients, is when they were making the wrong hires and bringing in the wrong people. Upsetting the apple cart is an understatement. Sometimes they would lose their best employees, their managers would sometimes leave. It can be devastating, actually. Not just a pain, it can literally devastate, the business. So
you said it, 1 out of 30. Okay. 1/30 of your workforce is just out versus 1 out of 3,000. Okay. That's nominal. That's a drag.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
As you've gone through this, Erin, what do you say are some of the biggest lessons that you've learned as a multiple entrepreneur? So you've been through the start and finish, you've been through the growth, you've been through the different forests, if you would, of
Mhm.
entrepreneurship. What
Right.
is it that you've learned over the years that you think people would really resonate with?
So that's a really fabulous question. I would say of all the times that I've been an entrepreneur prior to this is the first time that I really own a business. The other
Okay.
four times, I really just gave myself a job, and they're really significantly different in my skills that I've needed to develop and learn as a leader. But I went into this business knowing from the start and having the courage to know from the start that I didn't want this business to be a job. I really wanted to grow a business, a company, something bigger. And so I released the reins very, very early. I was only 1 year
Ooh.
in before I hired my kind of first right hand person who helped me build the core foundation of Zephyr. And it was a lesson in learning to let go. And I, by the time I did it, again, this is my fifth time around, right? I was fine with it. It wasn't a challenge. I didn't have a lot of mindset issues. But if this had been my second business, I probably would have. I
Yeah.
think it's a really challenging thing to let go of this need to control and to be in every aspect of one's business, especially if you're a newer entrepreneur, because it's our baby. I mean, and I
Yeah.
still feel that way about Zephyr. I still have a tremendous amount of connection to what I'm building, but I knew over time, and learned through not only my own experience as an entrepreneur before, but also watching all of my other, my clients' businesses, that I was never going to elevate and get to where I want to go if I didn't just learn to let all that go and
Yeah.
trust my employees right from the start. So that's one of the
Okay.
biggest lessons.
That's a great lesson, by the way. And this is a really interesting full service or full circle commentary on your service. You said it took me a while. This is my fifth go around, and I finally learned to let go
Mm-hmm.
and trust my employees.
Right.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that you have a vision, mission, and culture for Zephyr that is it's spot on. It's exactly what you wanted it to be. And you've attracted the people that work with you that there is no challenge at all to give them the trust that they rightfully deserve because they've already fallen in line with your vision, your mission, and the culture you're creating.
Yep.
So that full service or full circle has now gone over to an infinity loop where now this is exactly what you do with your clients at Zephyr to make sure that they learn to let go and trust their employees because they're hiring the right people.
Yep. You are 100% right. And we really walk the walk. We do have an incredible culture, and we do have very clear and very well communicated core values that we live every single day with every aspect of what we do. It isn't just words on a wall. It is embedded in our processes. It's embedded in our team dynamics and we're 100% virtual team, by the way, which is a whole
Ooh.
other route, right? Like that's a whole other ecosystem that creates certain amount of challenges but opportunity as well, of course, that we've had to learn to navigate and cultivate. And our culture is phenomenal, but it started exactly with what you're talking about: the mission, the core values, and the vision. And so I built those very early on as well. Like the first year,
That's
I knew exactly what they all were.
that's outstanding. And
Yeah.
what I'm interested to learn now, I love the tangential conversations that take
Yeah.
place on this
Yeah.
because I think I'm going one way and then you bring something up like, well, wait a minute, you're 100% virtual.
Uh-huh.
Talk to me about
Mhm.
how a 100% virtual company has a culture that resonates strong enough that you are still intact and not individuals working at home.
A number of things that we do, but we really take connection very seriously. I mean, it's a part of our name for a reason, and it isn't just the internal part. Like it's a part of our whole mission. And so simple things like having, Slack, for example. I mean, we use that tool instead of email. So conversations are happening all the time. We also started a team approach to our work. So recruiters typically work in a silo in the industry. They work by themselves. They work soup to nuts all by themselves. We decided to change that. And now we have teams of 2. So we have an administrative person who's on the backside, managing the job posts, managing the marketing, managing the budgets, managing the inflow of candidates, the outreach to candidates. And then we have the other person, which is our connector. They're the ones who interface with the clients, and they're the ones who do the interviews and vet the candidates. So they're now working in a group together. So they strategize together, they support each other, they work as a team, and that has really helped as well. And it's not and we cross team, like one admin might be on with 3 other connectors, and connectors will be with different admins. So that allows them to all get together and work together in a variety of ways throughout the week. We do social things. Social things are actually critically important. There was a great Harvard study came out not at Harvard, MIT study, excuse me. MIT Sloan study came out a couple of years ago talking about looking at actual data showing like, why do people stay at their jobs? And social was like number 3. It even shocked the researchers. Yes, we're human beings. Human beings want connection. Human beings want community. Human beings want to belong. So when you start thinking about, we need to stop removing this, like the psychological and human needs that we have, and separate, like we separate them from work, or we have historically, we separate them. Yeah. You just go do a job. Well, we've decided not to do that. This is a part of your life. You are a part of Zephyr. And we know that while you're here at work, this isn't just a job here. This is a part of your life. This is an important part of your life, your career, your colleagues, the clients we work with. All of that is super critically important to you having a happy life, right? Like yes. you need to enjoy all that. And we don't want to separate that and pretend that doesn't exist. So we do things like social things. We do virtual coffee chats. We sometimes will do co-working hours. We just try to create opportunity for that connection to happen. We also have an all hands meeting every week where everybody mandatory meeting. So even though we're virtual, we have very flexible schedule options. That's the one time of week where it is mandatory. Everybody's coming together, and so everybody.
Do they come into a central location, or is it on Zoom?
It's all Zoom. It's on Zoom. Okay. Yeah.
I'm really intrigued by this, because this is an interesting twist on the traditional business office. Mm-hmm. Do you get together on your social things outside of the office or outside of people's homes? Like, do you get people together at a restaurant? Do you get people together at a pub for happy hour? Right. That kind of stuff?
Not typically. I do have, my people are all over the country. So we're all over. And then we've had a couple of our employees who lived in the country now have decided to be digital nomads and are now living outside the country. And so they're not even here. So we don't do that. Now I do have some local people who are here in the area where I live in Cleveland. And those few of us will get together on occasion for sure. And then there's a couple who are up in Seattle, they'll get together on occasion. But this is all done virtually, but we do fun things. Like you can do amazing things on virtual with virtual teams. Like we had a woman from Thailand come and teach us virtually how to make Thai food. Like yeah, I kid you not. Like we've had, chefs come and do cooking classes with us. We've even had our own team members like do cooking classes for each other. Like I have a favorite chili recipe, so I taught my whole team how to make it. You can do mystery dinners, you can do trivia, you can do all kinds of gaming, you can do, just happy hour. I mean, there's a ton of really cool things you can do virtually.
I love that idea. No, it's great. And I appreciate you clarifying for me, because I had what would be considered a preconceived notion of where you were going. Mm-hmm. But the idea that you have this amazing culture that continues to permeate the organization, despite the fact that people are in different locations in the country and out of country, is a testament to what you've created.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it is.
People could easily take advantage of you. They could easily take advantage of their position or their situation.
Right.
But as long as they're contributing both to the company's progress, whether it be revenue or systemized improvements, they're contributing. But the fact that they contribute in such a way that they actually contribute to the culture of the organization, again, it's an open testimony to what you've created, because people want to be there.
Yes.
They're not there to cash a paycheck every week.
Correct.
They're there to do the work that you do. And that is if I were somebody listening to this podcast, that would be some of the most important things I could ever learn is build a business that people want to be a part of.
Yeah.
And it's not what they make. It's what they make makes a difference. That's why people want to be a part of it. And they'll be a part of it because when you're making that secret sauce, whatever it may be, it's because people have an opportunity to contribute. And that's what they like to do.
Correct.
I think it's awesome.
Yeah, 100%. And I would also add a couple of things. I mean, just, we're a tiny business, we've only been in business for about 7.5 years. At this point, I can't even, especially because my team's spread all over the country, I can't even really offer benefits, like traditional medical benefits. And my people stay. Like, we've got incredible retention, and they love Zephyr. And I would think at the core of why that is, the culture is great. All those things are super important, but it's the mission. We have a mission. And we hire people who are excited about our mission. And so that is a huge piece. Like, that above everything else we require. If they get excited about our mission, and they're like, when I say excited, I mean, you can feel it palpably even through the Zoom interview, right? Then those are the people that we're willing to continue the conversation with, but they gotta be just excited about what we're trying to do.
And what is the mission? Is it clearly articulated?
It is to eradicate toxic workplaces.
That is outstanding.
Yeah.
That is an amazing mission.
Thank you.
Okay. Eradicate.
Yes. And there's stories behind why that's our mission. There's, which we tell in our interview process and all that. Like, I didn't just pick that mission for fun. I picked that mission because it's my mission, like it's my life's purpose.
I'll tell you what, that is not only a catchy logo, tagline, whatever, it's an amazing mission.
Right.
Because it drives right to the core. You have a toxic work environment. I'm going to help you get rid of it.
Yep.
So let's go after a challenge that you've had.
Okay.
And how you overcame that challenge. And you kind of touched on the virtual nature of your business, which you handled incredibly well. You've got a great team up behind you. What other challenges, Erin, would you say have kind of formed your business thinking and gotten you to the point where you are now?
That's interesting. I mean, there's probably a ton. The one that is the biggest challenge, I haven't totally overcome it yet, though. So do you want me to share?
Yeah, that'd be great, because you know what? Maybe somebody will reach out with an answer.
Yeah, that would be amazing. If anybody has any experience share on this, I would love to hear it. So our biggest challenge is that because we're serving small businesses typically do their own recruiting, right? Because there's never really been a good solution prior to now. So in our marketing and our sales efforts and our outreach efforts to try to find new clients and to serve more businesses, is that we're trying to convince people not to use us over other recruiters. Usually it's to use us instead of doing it themselves, which is a really different value proposition. And what's challenging about that value proposition, they see the point. I mean, honestly, our own research has shown that our clients were spending between 60 and 80 hours collectively between them and their team per hire. So if you're hiring 3 people a year, think about how many hours that is. It's insane, right? So that's a value proposition that almost every prospective client or person we talk to can relate to. Making bad hires and not hiring people that align with their own core values, culture, and mission is another one that they align to. What's challenging is that it's not a line item in their budget. They've never paid for this service before. So even though we are, a fraction of the cost of what a traditional recruiter is, we're still expensive because we charge more than what they've ever spent. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
here's something that this is going to ring true for you, because you were a business coach. One of the biggest challenges as a business coach, when you walk into a room, you can help everybody in that room for one reason or another. There's something you have in your quiver that you can pull out and help somebody, but nobody wants to admit that their baby is ugly.
Right.
So in this world, you've got somebody that's a small business that has been hiring and firing and recruiting as much as they can on their own, never once paying attention to how much money it costs them.
Right.
So you're the one who has to say, you're not as smart as you think you are. So let's take a look at your budget. And because you didn't have somebody in that position for 9 weeks, you lost this much productivity. You lost this much opportunity. So what I would suggest we do is take a look at your messaging a little bit differently and really squeeze on that pain point.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's where it really comes into play. And God, there's so many different marketing opportunities that work and so many more that don't.
I
It's
know.
just a matter of hitting that target message, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's an interesting conundrum, because nobody wants to be told that they're not doing the right thing until
Yeah.
you bring it to a dollar and cents
So you
piece,
bring
right?
it to dollars, which does make
What's
sense.
the
Yeah.
dollars?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Makes
But that's a
total.
great, I mean, I thank you for sharing with that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
As a multiple entrepreneur,
Uh-huh.
what's the advice Erin Longmoon would give somebody who's just starting out?
Oh, that's such a good question. Lots of advice. I mean, number one, it takes so much more than you can ever imagine.
Mhm.
It's like parenting, right? I mean, honestly, I really draw a ton of parallels. Like, you really do not know what it means to be a parent until you're a parent. You can read all the books, you can get all the expert advice, you can watch all your friends doing it for years. You still have no idea what it actually takes to be a parent until you're a parent. And it's the same thing with entrepreneurship. And, you know, when people say you got to give 110% to being an entrepreneur, to me, it's like, it's 150%. Like, there are times, you know, when my business is nothing, that's my whole life. And it's okay, because there are seasons. Like, for me, it's okay because I know I've got a team that can support me and I can step out of my business. But, you know, that's taken time to build. It's not something I would recommend trying to do right out of the gate. You've got to get, you know, solid cash flow. You got to have the revenue to support it. Lots of things you got to have in place. Your processes, that is so critical, having your processes in place before you really grow a team. But I think just really understanding that entrepreneurship, just like marriage, just like parenting, is hard. And so you need to know that you're truly, you got to feel it to the corest of your core that you want this, I think, before I would suggest even launching it, you know?
That's a great piece of advice. Feel it to the core. Brad Sugars always says, if a decision you're going to make makes you nervous or excited, that's great, because it at least evokes emotion.
Right.
You're feeling something.
You're feeling it. Yes.
Whether you're anxious or excited, doesn't matter. You got emotion involved.
Right.
And that's what's going to make you take action. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Last question for you.
Okay.
We're going to time warp back to a bench, and there's sitting on that bench is an 18-year-old Erin.
Oh, wow.
What do you say to 18-year-old Erin?
Oh, girl, you're going to go so much farther than you can imagine.
Love it.
And do not fret the little stuff. Life is too short. Life is too short for that. You know what? You fill in the blank.
Okay. I love it. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
This has been great. And I think the model that you've created for recruiting is so, and I'll be honest with you, I never heard of it presented this way. And the fact that I work with small businesses, I'd love to make an introduction if and when somebody is going through the process to hire somebody, because this is a different model, and getting away from the contingency, which is kind of like you're just dumping resumes on a fax machine back in the day. So you time stamped it before anybody else. So you got claim to that resume. This is a full service engagement where you get in, you learn the vision, mission, and culture of an organization. You dig deep enough to find out what they're looking for, and then you find the person. That's a much better way of doing things than just trying to squeeze square pegs into round holes. So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
This has been great experience. I appreciate it. And I'm going to thank everybody for being a part of the show.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we'll connect on the bottom in the description below. Get a hold of Erin, and we'll see everybody in the next episode. Thanks so much.